I'm terrified. Why? Well, you see, I was watching this video of a guy taking a look at a brick, and suddenly, that brick starts playing video games. I don't know what to think anymore, so I'm going to do the only logical thing that anyone would do upon learning that bricks are sentient. Spread the word! You know, get some pamphlets ready. Maybe someone will believe this and they'll spread the word like it's the apocalypse or something. Maybe I can get some money or a trophy. Okay, so I've been doing some research on these bricks, and turns out there's a Zelda game for them. The apocalypse may be inevitable, but I am the kid who has to talk about every Zelda game before I die for the second time. So, let's take a look at... Oh shoot, he woke up. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. First released for the Game Boy in 1993, this game was very important as it was the first Zelda game to be released on a handheld. While the Zelda series had, at this point, at least one game that most people can agree was pretty good, and one game that most people with good opinions can agree was pretty good, the simple fact that this game was releasing on a handheld sort of left the door open for if this game would actually be considered as a mainline game or a spin-off. If it wasn't good, most people would probably just say, yeah, it's because it's running on a brick. But if it was actually good, this could set the stage to become one of the premier titles for the Game Boy. The game originally began development as a port of A Link to the Past, but eventually became its own thing. It was created by a small team who were basically just experimenting with trying to get a Zelda game running on a Game Boy development kit, and as such, they were given much more freedom with the story to do whatever they wanted to, as opposed to needing to follow the basic plot structure and characters that were expected after the success of A Link to the Past. Due to this, Eiji Aonuma, the director of the Zelda series as a whole, stated that this is one of the most important Zelda games that has allowed them to break free of the mold. Without this game, later titles like Ocarina of Time would have turned out very different. Interesting, but what are these deviations in the story department we keep talking about? This game has no Zelda in it. But it's her legend. Nor does this game have Hyrule, Ganon, Kakariko Village, the Master Sword, or any of the other things that seem like what you would expect from a typical Zelda game. While, yes, we have had numerous games since this one that have had none of this stuff, Majora's Mask and the Oracle games, to name a few, this was the first Zelda game to do this, so it was a little strange at the time. I mean, up until this point, the only notable characters from the series were Link and Zelda. Sure, there was Scruffy over here in A Link to the Past, but I don't even remember his name, so I don't think he left much of an impact. I mean, this game has Marin, Terran, this owl, King Richard, Bow Wow the Chain Chomp. Like, there are some actual characters here. Hold on, did I just say Chain Chomp? Oh yeah, this game also features Mario enemies and side-scrolling sections. Why? Honestly, I'm not sure, but they aren't not fun or anything, and they certainly make more sense from these rooms in the first Zelda game, so I'm okay with them. You know what I'm not okay with, though? Seriously, do you? Because I sure don't. While playing this game, I was having... What's the word? 3 letters. Rhymes with bun. Fun? Fun! While playing this game, I was having fun, which is something I did not expect to happen, considering this game is on a Game Boy. And when a game is frustrating to control, regardless of age, I tend to not enjoy the game. But Link's Awakening caught me off guard by not being horrible. Now, to be fair, I only really got past the 3rd dungeon, and I'm sure there's probably more early Zelda game stupidity later on, but as it is right now, Link's Awakening didn't make me want to break my DS, so that's a plus. Well, that was odd. Kinda expected the game to be whatever because I couldn't get past the controls, but no. Every time I died, I thought I was just bad at the game, as opposed to the game just being bad itself. Well, I still haven't gotten into my favorite parts of the game, so let's go talk about those. How does this game run on this brick? It just doesn't make sense. This is a more complex Zelda game than both of the NES ones, and even A Link to the Past in some regards. This has a full list of collectibles to nab, multiple dungeons, all being at least on par with the games before it, more characters than any of the games previous to this one, and arguably one of the deepest stories of the entire Zelda franchise to date. And, need I remind you, I have seen calculators more complicated than this thing. Seriously, you can tell that the team that made this game truly knew the Game Boy hardware inside and out, because the fact that this game is so complicated when most expected games on the Game Boy to basically be like Tetris is truly mind-boggling. This game has been remade twice, and I did play the DX version released on the Game Boy Color, but the GBC is honestly not much more powerful than the original Game Boy, so I can't imagine that it's really all that different. That is what is so amazing about this game to me. The fact that it is, in my opinion, not only my favorite Zelda game so far, but the best one, while being on vastly weaker hardware compared to its predecessors, really says something about how great this game is. So, here's the ranking so far for those who haven't been keeping track. In terms of my favorite games, at the bottom we have Zelda II. Then we have A Link to the Past, the original Legend of Zelda for the NES, and then at the top, Link's Awakening. Impressive job. Then, for the ranking of the best Zelda games, still at the bottom is Zelda II. That game cannot catch a break, man. Then we have the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, and then Link to the Past, and then, again, at the top, Link's Awakening. So, Link's Awakening is the best Zelda game up until this point. Let's see what the competition is next. Well, there's always next time, little buddy. Anyway, enough talking about Link's Awakening. I need to get to writing my pamphlets about how bricks are sentient and are going to take over the world. I sure hope that this will get the point across.